so I wanted to ask former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney, who you can say what you want about this lady, and we're going to give you her new campaign website. She has a lot of courage. And she would bring up the NORAD standout on 9/11. She would bring up DynCorp and child kidnapping rings that were in the news at the time, but nobody bring it up in Congress. Sounded crazy, but she was reading out of the Chicago Tribune and the Associated Press. She would bring up the $2 trillion missing from the Pentagon, the people have been killed over. And that's why you saw the controlled liberal and the controlled right-wing press always try to destroy her, because she's real. I've met her before, getting a Project Censored Award out in California. She's been on the show many times. And we're going to talk about her plan to run for office again and which website is best to give out. But first off, Cynthia, thank you for coming on with me here today. Everybody always asks to have you on the show, and we're honored to have you. I know you're busy. I know you've traveled to Libya and other countries when they're war zones, so you can give a first-place approximation of what's going on. You've tried to break the Gaza embargoes as well. So you've got a lot of courage. That's why we admire what you've done. But first off, this whole Barack Obama thing, am I wrong to say that he is incredibly successful for the establishment because it all becomes about him and not about what's actually happening?
You're absolutely right in saying that, Alex. I think he has been the perfect foil for people on the left and people on the right, because now a dual agenda can be achieved through one person. And when I say that, what I mean is we have the left that have basically done a stand down and allow the president to do whatever he wants to do, even when it contradicts their own values or stated values or progressive values, like war, being anti-war, for example, being anti-war crime, being anti-torture. I mean, these are things that are not only U.S. law, international law that signify a civilized nation, but these are the things that progressives hold near and dear. And yet you don't hear a peep from the left when the international, peace is broken because of the aggressive militaristic stand of the Obama administration. Now, at the same time, there's something else that happens, and the something else is that there's an ability to take advantage of the fact that he's black. That does several things. One of the things is that it gives the international community a moment of pause, because those policies that I just enunciated, the militarism, the globalism, the service to the international bankers, goes against everything that the civil rights movement was all about. And so people hearken back to the days of the civil rights movement when they think about Barack Obama, when they see Barack Obama. And so it causes a moment of disequilibrium when they say, okay, he's killing people. I know that's wrong, but somehow there must be a rationale that makes it all right. That's the sort of thing that
he's doing the best he can, when in truth, he's ramming through an agenda that nobody else could get away with. I mean, it's over the top.
Yeah. And of course, I have given much thought, as I've enunciated to you on this show, about the Second Amendment and my feelings about the Second Amendment and what happened with Hurricane Katrina. But now I do believe that we all have to rally around every item in the Bill of Rights, or else we will have no more rights.
That's right. Absolutely.
So then that comes to the third sort of function that I believe Barack Obama serves, and because of his race. And that is that there's a segment of the white population that is extremely extremely scrutinizes everything that he does. Now, scrutiny of a public official is not anything that's bad. However, what that does is that sends alarms up through the other part of the U.S. constituency.
Oh, no. I mean, it gets racial division going. MSNBC says racist things and then does it. And then that gets the racist end of the right wing doing it. And then exactly what the establishment wants. And Obama and his handlers and his minions, they all know exactly what they're doing. It's so clear that when they say, if you don't support what Obama does, you're a racist. And yeah, the whites are dumb crackers. It's pure MSNBC is invoking so we all fight with each other.
Absolutely. The agenda has always been, if you go back to the counterintelligence program, the document, the founding 1967 document that targeted what the FBI call black nationalist hate groups, that document states that one of the purposes of COINTELPRO was to make sure that blacks and whites don't come together. So with that in mind, what is it that we can do to foil their plan by coming together? How can we come together and deal with this race issue so that we deal with it once and for all, and then we can focus our eyes where they belong on the international bankers and all the rest of them who have come together to take away our rights?
Absolutely. I mean, how do we do that? Because even though I covered the Trayvon Martin thing, you had to, and covered that it was divide and conquer, even covering it still divides and conquers.
Yes, that's right. And I got a lot of that because I posted my feelings on my Facebook page. I have an official Facebook page, Cynthia McKinney Official. And there, you also know that I'm engaged in a PhD program that's quite intensive, and it's about leadership. So I thought that we would talk about the various types of leadership on my Facebook page. And then we would also engage each other honestly, where it didn't matter what you said or how you said it, as long as it was how you truly felt, so we could get that out on the table and then deal with each other where we are, because that's the solution. So anyway, in the midst of the Trayvon Martin thing, I decided that I would just put out there, I think we need a Truth and Reconciliation Commission. That Truth and Reconciliation Commission could go back and deal with all of the outstanding issues that we have with each other, not as a sideshow, but as a serious national engagement that will allow the voices of everyone not just to be heard, but to be listened to, so that we can come together with a solution that will allow all of us
and then bury the hatchet
together.
Let's talk more about that when we come back, and then I want to get into geopolitical, what's happening. When you visited Libya, the things that are happening there now, what's happening in Syria, and so much more with former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney. And is she going to run for office again? We'll talk about that.
Jakari Jackson here, and I want to talk to you for a second about water. You know about ProPure, our flagship water purification system, but check out some of our portable water filter products at InfoWarsStore.com. The clearly filtered water pitcher. Also, for those of you on the go, we have the Athlete Edition filtered water bottle and the RAD Eliminator Pro filtered sports bottle that removes radiation. And keep in mind, we have replacement filters for all of these products. The ever-popular grab-and-go bag favorite, the Life Straw, the Crystal Quest shower filter system, and the Aquapod kit, great for mass storage of water. And while you're at the InfoWars shop, pick up a copy of our latest book, 31 Days to Survival. You can find all this and more at the InfoWarsStore.com. And don't forget, it's your support that funds our operation. Sign up for our free newsletter at InfoWars.com/newsletter.
Well, Cynthia McKinney is our guest. Let me ask you this now. Are you going to be running for office again anytime soon? I know the Democratic Party came out against you and ran the guy who thinks that islands float and will dump over it against you. So, I mean, so what's going to happen next? Are you going to run for office anytime soon?
Well, Alex, you and I can talk off grid about that. Right now, I'm focused on my getting my PhD, and my mother would kill me if I said anything else. So I better focus on that right now. And I'm very close to entering candidacy and writing my dissertation. So all things remain possible.
Well, that's fantastic. What's the best website for people to visit? Is it your Facebook or?
It's the Facebook, Cynthia McKinney Official. Now, there's a lot of Facebooks out there that have Cynthia McKinney, but Cynthia McKinney Official is my official Facebook page. It's the one that I engage in. You know,
you know somebody's a threat to the establishment when the entire mainstream media comes after you and,
yes.
and then drums you out of Congress repeatedly. But talking about a Truth and Reconciliation Commission or something, the problem is they'll never let something like that happen because they want to just keep things going forever. Or if they did, it would be to actually just create more division.
But you know what? That's why we have to be in control. And there's a difference. And now that, you know, I'm studying leadership and change, the fact of the matter is that we have a lot of people who are in positions of authority, but they are not leaders. The leaders are the people out here who are organizing in their communities and listening to your show and then sharing the information in their network and their circle of friends. And those are the people who are the real leaders.
Oh, no, you're right. We don't have leaders. We have a stagnant ruling group of kleptocrats who are rigging all the markets and are absolutely stagnant.
That's absolutely right. So what we need is to transfer the real leaders into the positions of authority. And that's a project that is desperately needed while the window is still open. You mentioned Star Trek. Well, you know, Battlestar Galactica has the Cylons. And then, and then Caprica was the whole story of how Cylons came to be. But the idea of them embedding things, first it's, embedding chips. But now they've moved to the stage where they can embed ideas
That's right.
in people's heads. So this is a brave new world that is opening up that will allow them to close the window within which we are able to pose an opposition to what they're doing.
And, that's what everybody is saying. I had Ron Paul on 2 days ago. He said the exact same thing. He said, the race is on. They're trying to bring in a technocracy to enslave us. And that's what you're saying separately. Everyone who studies this gets a chill up their spine, realizing that our world's being turned over to the most cold-blooded anti-human scum.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I have been at a blind woman's home at 3 o'clock in the morning when she was evicted from her home. And the bankers, the banksters, because they're gangsters, no one has been prosecuted for fraud that has been perpetrated on the people of this country.
I totally agree with you. I mean, the bankers steal trillions. They even take people's houses that are paid for, and then now they send SWAT teams to people's houses to take their homes, and they do it illegally. It's just pathetic.
You're absolutely right. I've faced those SWAT teams. I've been inside those homes of women who paid. In fact, a friend of mine in Chicago was evicted on her birthday. She's a community organizer in Chicago, evicted on her birthday, and she never missed a payment.
I know.
People are having their homes taken away from them for nothing just because there's a class of people who are greedy and enough is never enough for them. Our response has to be coordinated. It has to be well thought out and planned. We have got to organize, and so that means that you and I have to be able to talk to each other. The people who like me and the people who like you, we've got to talk to each other. The people who don't like me, but who also care about this country, we've got to talk to each other.
Absolutely. We've got to start talking to each other. They want us watching mainstream TV, not talking to each other, not being in the street. We're going to go back to Cynthia McKinney here in just a moment. But first off, I want to tell you about Cell Shield RTQ at InfoWarsHealth.com. This has 300 milligrams of turmeric root, resveratrol 200 milligrams, and a bunch of other just amazing stuff in it that they've got major studies on as a cancer preventative, just overall extremely. This is the supercharged stuff. Cell Shield RTQ, available discounted at InfoWarsHealth.com. And you can also get the Beyond Tangy Tangerine 2.0, certified non-GMO. Simply amazing. The Beyond Osteo FX for your joints. Hundreds of amazing products at InfoWarsHealth.com. And you can also sign up there and get free shipping online. Or when you call, you can ask about the free shipping, 888-789-9277, 888-789-9277, InfoWarsHealth.com. And don't forget my favorite, really the only energy drink I'll use. Instead of drinking coffee in the afternoon now, I take a Pollen Burst Plus that's got my mug on it. I loved it so much when they were coming out with it. They said, hey, try our new one. Do you like it? I'm like, I love berry flavor versus the old orange flavor. It's still pretty good and they still sell it, but I like the berry flavor. And it's got a bunch of stuff in it. Just check it out. Healthy energy drink with the B vitamins and all the others, and it's just simply amazing. Pollen Burst Plus, InfoWarsHealth.com, and the toll-free number is right there on the site. And then when you go to InfoWarsStore.com, the books, the T-shirts, the videos, the latest issue of InfoWars magazine you can buy in bulk or get a 12-month subscription, has the face of Trayvon Martin and George Zimmerman split and put together, saying divide and conquer, how they use that from both sides to make it about division instead of about all the really serious things that are going on. That's just some of what's covered in the current issue. Great way to wake people up is with a big, slick, color magazine full of quotes and factoids and documentation, and you support the free press. The Answer to the Internet Kill Switch, print 2.0, available at InfoWarsStore.com or by calling 888-253-3139. Going back to former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney. Cynthia, looking at this and the point you were getting to, I want to talk more about the banks, because when you get up there and you say they're taking people's houses that were paid for, it's even come out on CNN pieces we've played where in Florida, hundreds of homes were taken last month. I mean, I've played it many times, that were completely paid for and that they never had the deed to. And the courts just let them do it because they're even selling houses they never even owned. They've sold the same houses in derivatives sometimes 50-plus times, usually only about 3 to 10 times. I've had all the big lawyers on that have been in the news in one cases. I mean, you say that and it sounds like it's crazy that foreign and multinational banks that are tax exempt, that Obama makes jokes about, you may not laugh that this evening was brought to you by Goldman Sachs, but they don't care if you're laughing. They still make money. These are the people sucking Europe dry. These are the people on record taking 45% out of all Cypriots' bank accounts in Cyprus to bail themselves out. I mean, this is beyond insane. Global government by kleptocrats, by banking mafia, and now the attorney generals of the states are getting laws changed because they broke all these laws to let mega banks take your house with no proof. I mean, this is incredible.
It absolutely is incredible, but it's actually happening, and that's what people have to understand. Don't wait until it happens to you in order to start fighting back. And that's that. If there's any disappointment that I have, or maybe something that I'm learning, and that is that these disasters have to become more proximate to individuals before they can actually see, before they can actually believe that their government is actually doing these things to innocent people. Yes. And the people who have these positions of authority, who we vote for every 2, 4, and 6 years, ought to be looking after us, and they are not. They ought to be holding the word accountable on the tip of their tongue.
Wow.
At every meeting. but that doesn't happen. And the Congress is charged with the responsibility of oversight of what the executive branch does, as it is the one that creates the policy. But if you look at the judiciary throughout the country, there's an individual here in the state of Georgia. I only know him as Lawless Bill, but he went to every one of the 50 states and he recorded by video individuals who had run up against corrupt judges, a corrupt judicial system. And of course, people were coming out of the woodworks in order to tell their stories. It's called Lawless America. And you can look at it online, Lawless America. But there are people like Bill who, and now of course he's suffering when people assume the mantle of leadership, then you can of course expect them to come back.
Well, Cynthia, it's funny. I want you to continue along this line, then we're going to have some phone calls. During the break, I was thinking, why are we becoming so evil? Why are things collapsing? Why does every metric show it's getting worse? And it hit me, people don't take other people suffering or being wronged personal, and they think it's like a victory to say, well, that doesn't affect me, even though it actually does affect them. They don't see, and as things get worse, historically, people tend to get even more self-serving when they need to understand that it's because we've lost our instinct to stick up for each other. I mean, used to, if CPS bashed some 2-year-old's brains out, granddaddy's going to go shoot him. It didn't matter if he went to jail. So CPS wouldn't do that because they knew somebody's going to come after you. And now people just go, well, cop shot me in the back or killed my kid for no reason, I'm not going to do anything. Or somebody kills a cop, nobody does anything. I mean, we see a cop in Austin run over for an hour, bleed in the street, nobody helps them. And it wasn't because they were a cop that people don't help anybody. And it's this attitude of, I'm going to get ahead, worrying about me. What type of, like these people, euthanize their old folks or don't even visit them in the nursing home. Nobody's going to care about you. It's this loveless, empty, soulless world of just a bunch of fake idiots. I don't understand it.
Human beings were evolved with empathy. And that's what we're talking about. So, if I come onto your show and I talk about loving my neighbor and loving humanity and loving humankind, I sound like, what's she tripping on? But that's what we've absolutely lost. And when we lose that, we allow the sociopaths and the psychopaths, people who don't have any sense of remorse, any sense of empathy, no sense of compassion for anyone else, we allow them to step on us
and take over.
And then take over.
That's it. I mean, it really. And are you noticing that either people are becoming more human and loving again, or they're becoming more sociopathic, almost psychopathic, like they're into manipulating? They actually know about all this info, but they make the decision to prey on people.
Well, look, I think, one of the things that we were supposed to get around to, and I fear that we might not, so I'm going to bring it up now.
Yeah, bring it up now.
Benghazi.
Oh, no. In fact, I forgot. That's why I wanted you on. Go ahead. Yeah. Because I heard you on another show a few weeks ago, and I said, please get her. And, let's bring that up.
Because it's clear. I mean, I don't have access to anything except my own common sense, right? And my experiences of knowing what a government is capable of doing.
And you've been to Libya.
That's right. And I've been to Libya many times. Now, what was clear to me is whatever that operation was that was going on in Mexico, fast and furious, for whatever purpose was being served, the same gun running was happening in Benghazi. Now, I don't have any proof. I just have a gut feeling. I have my instinct based on previous experience that that's what was going on. So I will not be surprised. We already have had one member of Congress to publicly state that the Obama administration is telling people they've got to change their names so that Congress can't find them in order to ask them about what was going on in Benghazi.
And that's right. By the way, I've talked to a bunch of people day one, NSA, Pentagon, and State Department. They all said what you just said. It was a gun running operation, a missile running operation. So we know they're lying in order to stand down. They wanted something covered up.
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. Now, what is it that we are supposed to do when we see that they have lied to us and a crack has come open in the veneer? We have to go inside it for everything that it's worth. We've got to have, and if our elected representatives fail to do it, then we need to kick them out too, because they are part of the problem. If they won't investigate on our behalf, then they are a part of the problem.
And absolutely, and it's admitted the Republicans are helping cover it up because it's all part of the same criminal combine. I mean, from the best I can get, the ambassador was not going to transfer heat-seeking missiles to al-Qaeda. The Turkish ambassador was there and got mad that they wouldn't do it. And so they ordered a stand down of security and sent the Benghazi security force, that was the al-Qaeda group they brought in to attack Libya to begin with, that was running security, and they went in there to kill the ambassador, but they put up a fight longer, so everybody learned about the stand down. So basically, they just said, kill those people and let them have the weapons so we can deny it later that we gave al-Qaeda missiles.
Well, that's pretty pitiful. That's absolutely pitiful. But if you go back to whistleblowers from the CIA and the FBI, you know that this is not anything new. And the fact that our government the fact that our government would enact policies, implement policies that end in the killing of innocent people is reprehensible. And what it means is that we have dearly got to change those people who allow it to happen. Those members of Congress who turn the blind eye to this.
Lindsey Graham.
Lindsey Graham is awful, absolutely awful in the way that he has just become a sycophant for the special interests. And that is not leadership at all. So the people of South Carolina have got to do something about this sycophant to special interests. How is it that he is allowed to stay in there representing?
Well, he says if you even know al-Qaeda, we're going to torture you and kill you. We have those clips. We're going to put it in the film coming out soon. And then meanwhile, he's involved supporting Obama transferring weapons to al-Qaeda to attack Assad, who's done nothing.
Well, you see, Assad has done something. Assad has been a thorn in the side of Israel. And if we go back to what the interests are in the region, of course, whatever is going on is not going to put more or less. It's going to put definitely less food on the table. But what the United States policy is in that region is not going to put more food on the table for the average American citizen. So we have to ask, who is this policy for? Exactly,
but how does it even help Israel, the people, not their leadership that wants more war? Like I mean, why put al-Qaeda in charge in Syria?
Well, here's the thing. There's a new field of inquiry that has been developed. When a government is destabilized, how long will it take to put another government back in place such that it is functioning on behalf of the people? And I forget the name of this field of inquiry, but the answer is that it takes about 12 to 15 years. So imagine what a country can do to consolidate its own position if it's got 12 to 15 years in which to do it. Imagine how quickly the noose has been tightened around the Bill of Rights right here in our own country in fewer than 15 years. So if we look at what can happen in terms of Israel being able to have suzerainty over the entire region, remember, Israel has a nuclear triad. That means they can launch nuclear weapons from air, land, and sea. And they're the only game in town that can do that. But that is changing. So if you destabilize the region, then you have that suzerainty for at least 12 to 15 years longer.
No, that's right. And then bottom line, destabilize, put Al-Qaeda in, have them wreck everything. And then the public's so dumb, you'll go fight them 5 years later and blow them up again as a way to just kill more people. And it's totally cold-blooded. And I don't even think the average Israelis, from what I read in their paper, understand that, just like the average American. And then again, you use the threat of Al-Qaeda to take our liberties here at home when it's totally synthetic.
First of all, you create Al-Qaeda.
Yeah.
And then you beef up your military and everybody's military around the world so that you can fight Al-Qaeda. NATO is an anachronism. NATO should have been dismantled the day after the Berlin Wall came down.
That's right.
And if not then, certainly with the implosion of the Soviet Union. But now there are people who want us to believe China is our enemy, Russia is our enemy, Al-Qaeda is our enemy, each other, we fellow Americans are our enemies. And as long as we practice this kind of destabilization, not only in our neighborhoods, but globally, then the same people walk away as winners.
You just said it. It's full spectrum dominance. It is getting everybody to fight with each other while these multinationals are tax-free with diplomatic immunity, playing us all off against each other, selling weapons to both sides, selling racism to both sides, selling division. I mean, they run the world. The globalists playing everybody off against each other. It's totally sick.
But now, Alex, we've been losing, and I'm sick and tired of losing.
Well, I want to hear about how you think we win and take some phone calls with former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney. Smart lady, folks, as you can see there. Laying it out. It's how it all works. This is what our upcoming film, The Obama Deception 2, is all about. Stay with us. I had tried everything. I'd cut back the amount of food I was eating. I was lifting weights and jogging, but nothing was working. My body was literally starving for minerals and trace elements as well as key vitamins. And as soon as I had that, I immediately could eat half of what I was eating previously and be satisfied. Now, there are hundreds of great products at InfoWarsTeam.com, but I want to point out the 3 that have helped me lose 37 pounds in just 2 months. Products like Beyond Tangy Tangerine, Pollen Burst, and Rebound. When I started taking the Tangy Tangerine and other products every day, I lost more than 37 pounds in just 2 months. Now that's results. I want to challenge my listeners to go to InfoWarsTeam.com and to order just 3 of their products, and you will see the changes in the way you look, feel, and in your appetite almost immediately. Start your journey to health and wellness today. InfoWarsTeam.com. Getting into taking things back, I think it's realizing the real political system we have is a sham, and I think that's happening. That's why you see the police state being put in place. But we have to reach out to the enforcers as well so they understand what's happening. And I got to tell you, more and more, I do see the police and military I talk to aware of what's going on. Cynthia McKinney, what do you say?
Well, that's why I've reached out to the Oath Keepers, and I always say whenever I'm in a public forum that I respect the Oath Keepers. In fact, when we were, not we because I wasn't a part of that, but the soldiers, there's a film called Sir No Sir that documents the refusal of soldiers in Vietnam to actually fight. And so we've got to have some people who will say, yes, I am involved on the inside, but I am not going to become a tool of oppression for the people.
It just comes down to saying no. I think that's the big part of the solution if you're in an unjust war. Imagine, too, if you're drafted to go to a war and you learn that the bankers are selling the weapons to the North Vietnamese on top of it. I mean, it's all just a moneymaker, just like they're funding Al-Qaeda and the Taliban. Ted in Arizona, thanks for holding. You're on the air with Cynthia McKinney. Go ahead.
That's how you're doing. Pretty
good, sir. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm just curious to know, does any one of you know of a company by the name of Westat? They're going to begin pretty shortly here doing in-home collection of cheek cells, urine samples, and I believe blood samples, and it's gonna be I think in about 239 different U.S. cities. I mean, it's a done deal, but do you have any
Yes, sir.
idea
Well, they're actually having police checkpoints where they act like it's the law and take cheek samples because they don't have to cut you. The inner cheek cells flake off, and they're now taking it at warrantless checkpoints. And yes, I am aware that they're coming to people's doors offering them money. They want the DNA database. Cynthia, this is just all more of the science fiction movie we're living in.
Yes, you're absolutely right. And of course, this is another thing that started, if you look at what's happening in the Black community, they would set up roadblocks and they would take the DNA swabs. They say, okay, someone has a criminal act has been committed and it was a Black man that did it. So we got to go in and take a DNA swab out of every Black man.
In Louisiana, they did it in whole cities.
That's exactly right. So my point is that just pay attention to what's happening and know that if you don't stop it over there, it's going to come and visit you. So you have to stop it over there. The body cavity searches. Remember, that's what was happening in San Antonio on the streets, Latino and Black men. Now, white women are having their cavity search. It's amazing and I am surprised.
By the way, we've got the Black ladies on tomorrow that happened to. We're trying to get the two white sisters as well. But can you imagine the same glove, too? I mean, that's rape, and the cops just do it now. Here in Texas, I see the state police. I'm actually scared now. Because, I mean, somebody trying to, I mean, I don't know, it's pretty scary to know now they want to do that.
Right, exactly. And they'll do it to anybody. And this is the message that if we don't come together, like reaching out, I'm not familiar with this company, but please, I know you probably have it posted, and I will look and search because I need to know more about it so I can warn more
Look, I know
people.
you've got to...
Do not submit under any circumstance.
Sure.
Do not submit.
Yeah, I know you've got to go soon. Can you do 5 more minutes with us?
Yes, yes.
Well, okay, 1 minute break. We'll do a little bit of overdrive. That's pretty much customary now. And thank you so much. We'll look more into that Westat company and get details, Ted. Thank you so much. We'll talk to Darren and a few others on the other side with former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney. I tell you, she is a ball of fire. Johnny Appleseed was born during the Revolutionary War. He's not just a legend. And in more than 5 states, he introduced apples that had not even been grown in the colonies. Later, the seeds from plants he planted and cultivated and some of the varieties he developed spread across the United States. And it was Johnny Appleseed teaching the colonists and then the new Americans, after we won independence, the love of planting fruit trees that introduced that idea to North America. Ladies and gentlemen, it is a revolutionary act to unplug from the television, to unplug from the computer and all the globalist propaganda, and to go out in your backyard or your front yard or planters at your apartment or on the roof of the building where you live, and to plant a garden.
Become the Johnny Appleseed of your community with seeds from the InfoWars Seed Center at InfoWarsStore.com.
The simple act of planting fruits and vegetables and then tending them and taking care of them and then sharing them with friends and family is a revolutionary act against tyranny. The globalists, first and foremost, do not want us to be self-sufficient. The crony anti-free market capitalist, the fascist, are using socialism and collectivism to shut down societies. Stalin in Poland and in Ukraine and other areas starved on record more than 10 million people over 5 years by not letting them grow their own crops and collectivizing them. Mao killed between 65 million and 80+ million people doing this same thing. The UN says they will use food as a weapon. They use genetic evil to attack the earth, and major GMO companies have been caught going into growth belts around the world, even where GMO is illegal, and planting seeds everywhere to infect the genetics of the original crops. Almost all of the thousands of varieties of Mexican corn has been infected. They are in a genetic war against everyone. That's why we have to get these seeds and not just plant them on our own gardens and not just give them as gifts to friends and family to plant spring and summer and fall gardens. I'm calling on you to go out into the green belts, to go out into the areas and plant secret gardens. No, not of marijuana, but of the hundreds and hundreds of incredible high-quality vegetables and herbs and fruit plants that are here. Lemons and oranges, the list goes on and on. They will grow. Plum trees, grape trees, they will grow almost everywhere in the U.S. We can literally, not just buying these products from InfoWarsStore.com, but from wherever you get them. This aggressive program literally just came to me one morning when I woke up about 4 a.m. realizing that we've got to counter their genetic war against us with original, real crops developed over eons on this planet. We have the lowest prices. We bought it in the biggest bulk that some of these companies have ever seen to ship this directly to you from the InfoWars Command Center. We stand for life. We stand for liberty. We stand for self-sufficiency. Go to InfoWarsStore.com, click on the Seed Center, and as of taping this, we have the 7 top respected brands. We intend to continue to do research and find other companies, other specialties, other varieties to really take action.
The InfoWars Store Seed Center has the largest online selection of heirloom, non-GMO seeds.
Check out these products from our newest supplier, Heirloom Organics.
The Medicine Garden for a natural remedy.
The Tea Garden that contains every important tea herb you can grow.
Fruit Lovers with 12 varieties.
And the Tobacco Pack, additive and pesticide free.
Join the gardening revolution today at InfoWarsStore.com.
This is a revolutionary action we're asking you to take. Plant seeds everywhere today. Nurture them, bring them to fruit, and pass on the knowledge to others. Become human again. Discover your roots in the soil. And remember, the revolution against tyranny is growing. We've got a story up on Infowars.com. Russian military joins race to engineer killer robots. And the first commenter says down here, if it turns out like their AK-47, we'll be in trouble. The point is that we shouldn't let our governments engineer our own destruction, all because the military-industrial complex went crazy. That's what Eisenhower warned us about. That is not some, far-out idea, folks. We need to decide on a good civilization, not a nightmare civilization. Former Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney is our guest. Quick final calls for her. She's held over to take them. Darren, and then we'll try to go to D and others. Or no, Richard, you said was up first. Richard, you're on the air. Go ahead.
Hey, thanks for taking my call, Mr. McKinney and Mr. Jones. I got a quick question.
Sure.
Mr. Dick Gregory, everybody knows who he is. Mr. Steve Coakley and Mr. Williams Peppers put out a very intense documentary on YouTube proving that Jesse Jackson and Billy Giles and some other very prominent blacks and whites were in on the assassination of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Is there any possibility from what you've been hearing, Ms. McKinney, from the inside, is Jesse Jackson ever going to be brought to any kind of justice for that?
Well, that's an excellent question. And actually, when I was in the Congress, I held an 8-hour conference on the the assassination of Dr. King. And there I had Judge Joe Brown, I had William Pepper, I had Martin King III, I had Phil Melanson, who was a friend of James Earl Ray. And the story that's out there is not an accurate story. If you go to DOJ.gov and put in the search, the Justice Department website search MLK, you will see the story, the report that was issued under Janet Reno. And if you look at the SCLC minister, that SCLC minister is never named, but that SCLC minister is Jesse Jackson. And then there's the Memphis minister, and that Memphis minister is never named, but that actually conforms to what we now know about Reverend Billy Kyles. So there's a lot of information that needs to come out.
Absolutely, but
need to be brought to justice. Yes.
And we won't be hearing Obama at the Martin Luther King thing where he poses as Martin Luther King talking about that. And then, of course, Jesse Jackson went on to do exactly what he was told. I want to get Dick Gregory back on. He hadn't been on in a few years. He's a listener. We've got his number, or at least we did. If we don't, we'll get it from Cynthia. I want to get him back on. We just had William Pepper on about a month ago. So that's a great idea. I should get them back on. A good point, caller. Thank you for raising that point. Look, I've got all these other callers for the guest, but I'm just not going to be able to get to you. I apologize. The other callers. I'll have to get back to you tomorrow if you can get in on the show. But just on that point, look at what Jesse Jackson then did after all those years, playing the part of playing division, the race card, to actually get different groups to dislike each other. I mean, it's just like a boxer throwing a boxing match or something.
Well, if you go to the COINTELPRO papers, and specifically the church committee reports, you will see where the number 2 at the FBI focused his attention on creating a leader for Black people that would be acceptable to the political elites. And that was the program that was carried out. All we have to do is go back and read, and then we'll understand what's happening now.
You know what? Give us a history lesson, because I know you were there for those hearings and testimony, and you have all the research. This is on record. Let's get you back sooner than 6 months. Come on in a few weeks or a month, and let's give a history lesson on all that.
Okay.
Congresswoman Cynthia McKinney, thank you so much for spending time with us.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
What a great lady. We'll be back, folks.
Now you can watch the InfoWars Nightly News streaming live as it happens for free.
Check it out at Infowars.com/show.